Hello and welcome back to the Pride Pod here on Loud and Proud Orlando, where we talk everything Orlando Pride. This week we get to talk about a win. Orlando Pride have won a game. It's very exciting stuff. It's been a while since we've done that. So we are looking forward to talking about that today. Of course, Pride won, Portland Thorns 0 on the agenda. We'll kick off with that, and then we're going to talk about Prisca Chilufya, who has left the club, transferred midweek, to Angel City. We're going to look at the NWSL table, what that win against the Portland Thorns meant. Then we're going to preview the CCC because we've got Champions Cup coming up on Wednesday against Pachuca. And then a reminder, there's going to be another Pride Pod later this week on Thursday as we dive into all of that and talk everything around the Champions Cup game on Wednesday and preview another NWSL game that we'll have at the end of the week. Alrighty, first of all, talking about the Portland Thorns coming to town and Orlando Pride. This game, I think a lot of us were, I'm not going to say not hopeful, but we were nervous, I think, for such a big game coming up this week against Portland, who were, in a very tight NWSL table. They were in a kind of top four, and we were in a bottom four situation. And after this, that's flipped, and now we're up in third, and they're down in seventh. So a real 6-pointer of a game that we managed to get the win in. The lineups for this game. Let's see what we've got. For the lineup. Of course, Anna Morehouse starting in goal. She did have a very good game and got a clean sheet, made 4 saves in this match. No errors, something we love to see from Anna, so a good game from her. Oyane at right back, Emily Sams and Hafa at center back, Carrie Abello at left back. Then we had the midfield three that we've seen a lot of: Angelina, Haley McCutcheon, and Ali Limos. And then up front, we had a combo of Ovalle on the right wing, Ali Watt at the striker position at number 9, and Carson Pickett starting as a left winger. I liked the combo of the front three. I think it was using Carson well, Ovalle and Ali. The first half, we had some good chances. I think throughout this game, we did create a fair amount of chances. We had 16 shots in total compared to 14 for the Portland Thorns. Shots on target, though, was only 4 of those 16. So as much as I want to be excited about the win, I do still think that we have a finishing issue. In the first half, Ali Watt put the ball in the back of the net, but it was offside. She's so fast, but she has just a little bit of problem staying on side in the first half. And the goal that they rightfully called back, she was offside, but it was a good, solid finish from her on that chance. So that is very positive, something that we like to see, finishing those chances regardless of whether or not they are offside or not. That is a positive for sure. Let's have a look at some highlights here and see what we thought. Let me bring this up. Alrighty. So in this game, like I said, midfield, we had Ovalle in there with Rid Ramos, et cetera, et cetera. Highlights from the first half, as we can see. It was a good first half, I think, in general. We could have scored multiple goals. Like I said, Ali Watt just having trouble staying on side. But I think there was a lot of positives. I think we were getting on the front foot. We were getting the ball forward quickly. We weren't really allowing Portland to pen us back. Like in other games, we started really poorly. In this game, I think we started better. We had more of the chances. I think a good finish there, as you see on screen from Ali Watt. But yeah, rightfully so, as you'll see in the call, she was offside from when the ball was played the whole time. So, you know, it was always going to be offside for that one. But I do like the drive and the determination on the finish. I thought that was very positive. Portland, you know, they played the ball around well. They do they do have a good team. And I think Anna and the back line has to be praised for moments like this, like we just saw from Emily Sams, nicking the ball away last minute from players, winning second balls, throwing their body on the line in certain times in the game. That defensive determination and grit was definitely there from Orlando Pride. I think they did a good job of nullifying the likes of Moultrie, and Coffee as well, and really just like not allowing them. You see here, like Coffee taking those moments, but they're quick to close them down, quick to get in their face, not allow them to play. I think the press was very good in this game. We did sit back at times, but I think that's just kind of the nature of the way that Seb wants to play, you know, be a bit more counter, you know, not necessarily a low block all the time, but that sort of mid block, for sure. So let's read a few comments here as we watch. This was an attempt here from Haley, and then I think we recycle the ball. But before that, let's read some comments. Elizabeth saying, being far too long. Yes, far too long since a Pride win. Too many offsides, says Elizabeth. We have an offside issue. 2 goals called for offside. Yeah, Allie was offside 3 times at least last game. Yeah, I think Allie just needs to hold her run. And I think just she's got all that speed, just start from a deeper position. I like the fact that she was clinical when she got up the field. I just think that I just think that it was quite obviously offsides at times, and when she's starting from an offside position, that's a real like no. You know, you really got to just make sure you're getting back onside, and then you could beat the offside trap, especially with her speed. So hopefully she'll figure that out and be able to get it better next time. Also, Portland might have just been very good at timing their offside trap against her at times as well. Avol Where says, I have to say is Mike Watts can try and see the offside flag from the capo stand if he wants to comment about the smoke going off. I did hear that. I think he said, you know, the smoke went off. And Mike Watts on the thing said, "Oh, they went too early." Yeah, I mean it happens. You don't know if it's going to be called back or not. You got to celebrate. Shinta says the issue is more the roster build than anything. When you have to play Allie at the center forward, that's a problem. Yeah, I think obviously no Barbara Banda is a big deal this year. If she'd been available all season, would we be as low as, you know, we're not even that low, we're third. Would we have gone on such a difficult run in this, you know, later part of the season without her? Would she have scored multiple goals a game to get us wins and games that we drew or lost? Potentially, yeah. I think Simone Charlie is hopefully going to be picking up more and more of those minutes in the 9 position. Ali Watt as well. But I think across the roster, there's been, I think, offensively, especially, there's been a lack of production. Really, anyone has been, you know, we haven't had any players this year that have really been producing assists and goals at a high rate. Even Barbara hasn't been lighting it on fire when she was here. So I think really we have an issue with scoring goals, like per se. And so, yeah, I think whoever you put at the 9 at the moment, I personally think Simone Charlie is the best option, but it still seems like maybe some reason Seb or whoever doesn't feel like she's ready to start every game. I don't know. I would be putting my eggs in that basket, maybe using Ali Watt late in the game, you know, to break lines as that kind of poacher striker like we saw. But Simone Charlie for me is the most creative, most complete 9 that we have. We'll have to see if she gets more minutes. Shinta says the issues are more rusted build. We read that one. Says also And not so much the build, just working on getting SEIs back in form. Yeah, I mean that is a lot of what this year has been. Start Simone, says Elizabeth, and our midfield can't pass. I think the midfield last game I was very frustrated with. I think this game, it I don't necessarily have an issue with our midfield. I don't think they performed particularly badly. I've said it before. I don't think Ali Limos is adding a lot to the midfield. I think Angelina played better in this game, definitely, than she has in other games. Haley McCutcheon is Haley McCutcheon. She's everywhere. She was captain of this game. I think she should be our captain every week. If Marta's not there, she is, that kind of leader, I believe, on the field and off the field. Yeah, I think maybe we don't need to play three defensive midfielders. And there's sometimes the overpassing, like we could just hit it directly to a player, and we pass it to one player and then pass it to another player. That's the kind of stuff I don't like to see. Shit just says Limos has been looking better the last couple of games. IMO. I do agree with that. I think before we kind of saw her being pushed up quite high. I don't really think that suits her game. Excuse me. I just don't really think I don't think we need three defensive midfielders regardless. I would like to see another attacking option in there. Excuse me, or put Marta in there and then let other players go up front. We'll see, but I think sometimes there's too much going on in the midfield and a lot of like tiki taka passing that we could really just be a bit more direct. I think we like to try and play our way out of trouble a lot, which is good when it goes well. But when it doesn't go well, we tend to pass our way back into trouble instead of just kicking it long and looking for an out ball, which I think a lot of the time we would do with Barbara, and we're not able to do as much anymore. Elizabeth says the question is, the question is, will Seb play for the win against Pachuca? We're going to talk all about Pachuca in a little bit, but before then, let's finish the highlights of this game. This was a good chance by Angelina, probably one of the best shots she's had from distance in a while, maybe all season. That really had a chance of going in. We came so close with this one with Haley McCutcheon. I don't know how that didn't go in. The first half, really, it was like we should have scored. And I think that's the issue, is that we create all of these chances, but we're not actually putting the ball in the back of the net. Shout out to Kim Scott there on the broadcast. Just saw her in boots in the crowd. The second half, I feel like Portland were a little bit, more aggressive early on, and then late in the second half, we really started to put on the squeeze. This goal, and again, like if you look, Ali Watt, when she receives the ball here, she was offside the whole time when the ball was played. Obaze comes back, but she was offside when the ball was played. A really good finish for Ali. Like, she did it twice. And she's shaking her head, but I think she knew, you can see it there, even from this angle further back when you line it up with the offside line. She was offside when the ball was played. I like I said it before, I'm encouraged by the fact that she's putting these away. She's being clinical. She just needs that step or so to hold her run before, and that way she would be on side for these chances. Late in the second half, of course, we'll get to that Marta winner, but it was a lot of back and forth. Portland, they had their chances. We had chances. The Simones came on. I feel like they made a big difference. They created more. There's so many there's so many opportunities in this game where goalkeepers make great saves. Here's one that Anna made off a diving header. We saw Arnold make one a second ago there. there's chances all over the place. There was a near post one for Simone, I believe, coming up that was really really close here. There was a lot created by us. I feel like the urgency in the second half, the score was there. Ovalle is putting balls in. Marta comes on and is being the Marta that we need, where she's, like this breakaway, she's being aggressive, she's getting up the field. It was a great ball to Simone Jackson, who I just think she couldn't quite decide which way she wanted to go and get her feet right. And then it was a decent shot. But it was always difficult with 3 players bearing down on her. We had chances. They had chances. This counterattack opportunity, which I think is a great save by Anna. The 86th minute. I mean, Portland could have won it here. A great save from Anna tipping away, and then again, that's the clearance here by Luana. Like, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about that grit and determination on the second ball, not to let that bounce and let them get to the ball. That's the near post chance we just saw there with Marta putting it in to Simone Charlie at the near post. And, again, this time it's the other way. Portland with the last second toe to poke it away to deny the goal. Again, here, more clearances. This is really the mistake from Obaze, because she makes the clearance and then she doesn't get under control. She puts it out for a corner. And sometimes, that's all we need. Corners this year from Orlando Pride. And so little come from so many corners, I feel like. So it was great to finally see us get something. I'm going to say this now. It's really a lot of luck. I think we have to be honest here. It's a great ball by Marta, but 9 times out of 10, a goalkeeper saves this. I don't know what Arnold is doing. I think clearly, like we talked about, I know people have commented that she's a liability. You could see it there. That was, astounding. Marta saying, I got the intelligence. I knew what was going to happen. Mackenzie is labeled with the own goal. You could call it a Marta Olympico if you wanted to. She barely brushes Mackenzie's head as she's like, not even really aware. I think it's all on Arnold. What is your goalkeeper doing coming out to punch that ball? I think it's a mistake. I think you just stay on your line. Let your defender either deal with it or you could deal with it from the line. She comes out to try and punch it. Horrible attempt at punching a ball. I mean, you could maybe say that Mackenzie, it deflects off of her head, and that's why she doesn't get the punch right. Maybe there's something there, but I think communication between your center back and your goalkeeper, this is where it's really important for me that, the goalkeeper knows what they're doing. This is something we've seen a lot with keepers in NWSL, and Arnold's had her share this year. A real error, in my opinion, and we benefited because, I mean, it's an empty net once the goalkeeper comes out and misses the ball. And there's no one there to stop it from going in. So a little bit of luck, a little bit of error from the back line of Portland. And that's all we needed. For sure. We got a few more comments here. Playoff is clinched now. The CC game is a must win. So she has no choice unless they want to throw the tour. You're talking about, sorry, so he has no choice. You're about Seb winning against Pachuca, says Shinta. Yeah, I mean, we have clinched playoffs. Do we feel good about clinching playoffs in that scenario? Yes. But do we need to do the job on Wednesday? 100%. Like, we're in playoffs, great. Do we want to take our foot off the gas in NWSL or CCC? Not at all. I think it came sooner than perhaps we thought it might, which is good, but that doesn't, I think with a good result here, other results going our way, that's great, but I didn't expect to qualify the playoffs. I think we still need to fight in that fighting mentality and not rest on our laurels. just because we qualified for the playoffs. I've also were saying my take last week was to go all out on Wednesday and then send the B team to DC, and I stand by that take. I think that's fair. I don't think they'll do that. I agree with you. I think it's much more important on Wednesday than it is against DC. I just don't see them throwing a B team against DC out of just like pure embarrassment of what will happen. Ovaye says Elizabeth. She says try Ovaye up top. I wouldn't hate that idea. Honestly, I think it could definitely work. I wouldn't mind like a 2 striker system where you got Ovaye and Marta, and play some wingers and let them kind of cook in the middle. We could see what that brought. Shinta says that's what they should do, but they also want a home game for the first playoff game, so we'll see. Shinta saying Marta's scared that poor defender into an own goal. Face blue, smiley. Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit like there was that moment where she messed with Marta, and then she sort of said, don't mess, Mackenzie, don't mess with me. I'm going to put this ball in the near post off your head and score a goal. A Wolf Edward saying, if Anna did that, we'd be mad about it. 100%. Yeah, I agree. It's the kind of thing that I have scolded Anna for doing this season, and Arnold did it, and it benefited us. So sometimes it goes your way as opposed to against you. She just says, told you be a battle of the bad keepers, but Morehouse actually did well that match. So yay. Yes, indeed. Let's praise Anna for a good clean sheet. She has done it so many times. Elizabeth says we need 2 wins. DC plays Wednesday. We must beat Seattle. I agree. We got to get these wins. It's do or die for Orlando Pride. It's that time of the season. Really, we have to win all of our games. So the Spirit is not an easy game to play after the midweek game against Pachuca. I don't know if it's easy to play, our rotated lineup. How do I put this nicely? Is not good. I mean, they did not perform well against America. And I fear of what would happen if you played a team like that, a rotated team, a heavily rotated team against either Pachuca or Washington. I think the beatdown we would receive would be quite large. So I kind of think we have to just pull a big week. Like we don't, after this, there's the 2-week international break. And yes, some of our players will go away for that, but really most of them will be resting until Saturday, November the 1st, when we play Seattle Reign at home. So I think we just have to go all out this week. I think we have to go big against Pachuca on Wednesday, and then we got to go big against the Spirit again on Saturday as well. We can't play, in my opinion, a rotated lineup against either of these teams. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit about Prisca. There's a great comment here that we'll read. Shinta says, Prisca looked good in black for AC. Banda, you look better in purple. Don't leave. Yes. So Prisca Chilufya, of course, last week it was announced has been traded, an interleague trade for $50,000 in transfer funds is what we got from Angel City for her. She has, I'm gonna say, struggled. We all know that. I think we had a lot of high hopes coming from Mexico, coming from Liga MX Femenil, being one of the top players there, that she was going to be able to come in. And it's like really a lot of people saw her as the replacement to Adriana. And I think we had those hopes for her, that she would be a significant part of the team, that she would be able to score a lot of goals, that she would be able to contribute with assists, that she would have the physicality required to hang in NWSL. I just don't think it's worked out that way for Prisca. I don't think it's really, I think she struggled all around. Haley here saying Prisca has played an important role in the club's journey this season, both on and off the pitch. We are thankful for her contributions and her positive influence on her teammates and staff this season. She will be part of the Pride family and wish her continued success in the future. I think sometimes in football, you have to make tough decisions. And Luis, I know, has been not hot on Prisca, and he's been saying that she has been, not performing well, and I think rightfully so. I thought she was going to get more time. I thought it was a sort of, give her a year, let her settle in, see what's going to happen. And I think that it was just the case that it didn't seem to Haley and to the staff and to Seb that she was going to be able to make that step up that we required her, whether she was here for longer or not. So if that's the case, and you can see that now, and then when that happens, the best thing to do is just move the player on, right? If she's never going to ever to be the level of player that we require as a Pride team, if she can't score the goals and she can't, be the player that we want her to be the, contribute to the team with assists and goals on a regular basis, and also deal with the pressures and the, what is required to be a top NWSL player, and that's not going to change in the future, then it definitely makes sense. I think we probably lost some money on this. I can't remember exactly what we paid for her from Juarez, I believe it was, but I don't think it was 50K. So I think we're happy to lose some money on some players sometimes, and I think that's a good thing that the ownership is willing to do that, to say, all right, this player didn't work out. Let's get some money back. We'll move them on, get the wages off the books, then we'll go find somebody else. I think it's a positive thing. I know there might be some fans that are upset that Prisca's gone, but like I said, it is what it is. This is football. If you're not going to be able to do what we need you to do, I think it's only the best thing for the player to move on. All right, some comments on this. Elizabeth saying Spirit has clinched second. Maybe they'll play their B team. Yeah, I just doubt it. I don't think they will. I've also had word says I'm going to be day drunk in DC either way. I'm going to be day drunk in downtown Orlando on Wednesday as well. If we're being honest, I mean, I like your vibes. Shinta says it was a failed transfer to only get 50K, but hey, she doesn't want to be here, so then so be it. So good luck at AC. Prisca is no Adriana, says Elizabeth. Like clearly, of all side word says I feel bad for the guy I saw in Mexico City who had made a custom half scarf of FC Suarez Orlando Pride with Prisca's name and number printed on it. That's commitment. Of all side words, he clearly went to a lot of effort there. Yeah, that's a one of a kind collector's item now. Elizabeth saying she can't dribble or take on defenders. Well said, John. Yeah, I think there was a lot of that disappointment in the way that I thought she was going to be able to use her physicality, and just doesn't. I think you see that often in larger players, physical players, that you want them to be able to muscle, and they're not doing it. And I think that if she's not speedy, she's not good at taking players on 1v1. She's not using her strength. She's not really a 9. She's not really a winger. I think there's a little bit of Prisca's don't really know what to do with her, how to play, where to put her, what to ask her to do. We tried her different roles on the winger up top, and she didn't really excel in any of those. So yeah, I think it's just one of those situations where it didn't work out, and I think it's the right time to move her on. The team says we got her from the money was good to turn down, so they bet they overpaid, which is the fine because the Wills are rich. Yeah, I mean, this is not to remember the Wilf ownership groups. They own an NFL team, so if you run and go look at the numbers of what they pay, like one of their NFL players, then you look at what the whole of the Orlando Pride squad is paid. You got to remember to them, 250,000, 500,000 for a player is really not much at all compared to the men's game. And you compare that to American football, it's not a huge amount of money to them. Of course, you don't want to belittle ownership and what they spend, and it's still money. It's their money. But yes, what they spend on the women's team comparatively to other teams that they have, it's not a huge amount of money. I think Orlando Pride clearly willing to accept that this wasn't working out and move on, take a bit of a loss, but do what's best for Prisca as well. And I think, like I said before, this just speaks to what's going to happen in the offseason. Another player. This one made sense because I think they just did it because we got the funds now, or else we would just waited. And Prisca was not doing much now. And it was like, she needs to go make it happen now. But you're going to see a lot of this, I think, in the offseason. The turnover, the rebuild will come for sure. I've also said words, I just don't think too hard about the economics of sport, because if I do, it makes me angry. Yeah. Elizabeth says rebuild. Rebuild for sure. I think it's coming. Alrighty. That is everything on Prisca. Let's move on and talk about the NWSL table. Here we are in third place. I'm honestly shocked that we're in third place. I feel like we've kind of rode our luck a little bit to get in third place based on other teams suddenly not, performing as well. I think if you looked at our form, in fact, I could do that here. Over the last 5 matches, we haven't been too bad recently, but before that, we were like way down here. So it's getting better for us. But I do feel like third place is slightly flattering based on how we've been performing a lot of the time in the later part of this season. Not a huge amount of wins in there, but yet we got a lot of draws, and I think those draws added up. And we're still in third place. It is very tight, though. You've got Orlando Pride right next to, Gotham, 1 point behind us, as well as Seattle Reign, a point behind us, 2 points behind us. You've got the Wave as well as Portland, 2 points behind us. Only 3 points behind us are Racing Louisville. So you've got 5-6 teams there in the space of 3-point gap. I mean, with only 2 games left in the season, very similar to what we're looking at with the men's side in Orlando City this season. It's very tight in the table. The win in these last 2 games could be the difference between, third and eighth. A win, no wins. It's very, very tight. That's why I say Washington Spirit. Yes, they're locked in second. I don't think they're going to play a B team. I think obviously it matters more for us, the result of that game. They're going to come second regardless. But I don't think they're the kind of team that's going to go ahead and play a worse team. I just don't see that happening. So for me, we got to go all out this week. We got to play our best team against Pachuca and Washington. And then we've got to get a result next week against Seattle. The Seattle game on decision day, of course, we'll talk more about that on Thursday's Pride Pod, but that is like a decision day 6-pointer of like, it's gonna dictate a lot of, we could win and go up 3 places, we could lose and go down 3 places. We're gonna have to see where we land on that one. Shinta saying down to 25, was hoping to see an intra transfer before the window closed. Didn't happen yet. I've also had words saying the summer slump hits us hard, but it's also some other folks around us in the table, plus some other bottom teams played spoiler luck, which was a friendly factor. Yeah, I agree. I think we like I said, we got a little bit lucky with like the likes of San Diego Wave just like dropping off in form, and Portland also kind of dropped off in form a little bit, and Racing Louisville just, I don't know, man. Like Racing Louisville are the most 9th team in the league, right? If they don't come 9th again, they'll be delighted. But they're so middle of the pack. Carolina Courage dropped off for sure. Gotham rose back up. They were way down there. The Reign kind of rose up a bit as well. So it's a lot of these big teams in here, what I consider big teams, and the likes of Thorns and Reign and Gotham and Spirit. Us, the Wave, The teams that have big ambitions, teams that have high aspirations, teams that always expect to be in the playoffs, teams that would all argue that maybe they could win it this year. So it's very tight. I think we're in that mix. I think we're a step behind Kansas City for sure. We're not quite as good as Washington Spirit. I think these two teams arguably have done more and deserve to be where they are. But we are in the mix of this sort of playoff 3 through 8. I would say we're just as good as any of these teams around here and can beat any of these teams around here. It really, I think when you go up against the likes of Spirit and Washington, sorry, Current and Spirit, you might see that perhaps they're having a better season in form and factor. Elizabeth says next to our must wins for 4th and a home game. I think that's a big thing here is if we can get out of this with 4 points, that'll put us up to 40 points. I think that's probably good enough to be 3rd or 4th. If we can get a win and a draw, if we can get 2 wins, I think we're pretty much guaranteed 3rd, definitely 4th. We're guaranteed 3rd with 2 wins. If we get a win and a draw, we'll probably come 3rd or 4th. So yeah, it's in our hands. The decision day is going to be insane, says of all side words. And Shinta says, still want us to be ended nth. We play against KC. That would be like pure evil. Just, straight up first game of the playoffs away at KC. I don't know. I think that's I don't fancy going to the cold again. If we have a playoff game, maybe I'll make the trip out if it's somewhere reasonable and I want to go there. Let me know if you guys are planning a playoff game. Me and Luis have talked a lot about trying to do a watch party. So maybe for a Pride game, we will do our Loud and Proud Orlando watch party. We'd love that. Have you guys out there, or maybe we'll just go to the club one. We will see. But yeah, I don't want to go play KC in the playoffs. I think in an ideal situation, I think like 3rd or 4th, we get the home game. We play, a Rain or a Wave or somebody in a home game for the playoffs, that first game, and then kind of go from there and see where it is. We're definitely a team, I think, that benefits from the home crowd. No KC says Elizabeth of all side where it says, I am not going to Kansas City again. I will go to any other game. I hate that city so much. It's not even the Current. I just hate the city. Yeah, I kind of enjoyed Kansas City, but that was like the one time I've been there. And I don't really feel like I need to go back, like it was fine. It was cool. I ate some barbecue. It was really cold. And I think also just the vibe that we had in that final was, KC doesn't like us. Washington doesn't like us. We're the unwanted stepchild of this league. And that kind of rubbed off on our vibes of going to KC and everything that happened there. So yeah, I don't want that. I also just don't want that because I think we're immediately out in the playoffs. I genuinely do think that KC Current are a very good team and I think anybody who thinks they're not most likely to win it this year is probably kidding themselves. They're having the season we had last year. In fact, they're even better than we were last year. So you got to give them their kudos as much as I don't like them. I don't want to play them in the playoffs for sure. Sporty Mouse says, why don't you think the Oregon Trail people just passed through there? They might have got dysentery and died. You don't know. Of all side word says I went there 3 times last year. It's a parking lot. Look, there's a phrase about states in the middle of the country, that's the one I always go to. But we won't be mean. Everybody's valid. They're all fans of their team, whether we like them or not, whether we want to go to them or not. But yeah, in the playoffs, away trips, I wouldn't mind like an away trip to Gotham. I think that would be fun. I'd love a New York away game in the playoffs. I think I could get behind that, but New York in the winter. I don't want to go all the way. So like I wouldn't go to like Seattle or Portland. Not that I don't think those are good places. They're just so far away. It's just a lot. Voltside where it says, I think the Spirit are chomping at the bit to stop KC from doing the double, and they will be the final. I can see that. I could definitely see that. I think the Spirit have a good chance. Like, I genuinely think one of those two will win it. I think everyone else is good, but they're not like great this year. I think those two teams are great. The big thing with Casey Current is showing is she going to be there or not? Because I think they're a different team, like we are with Banda. I've also said where it says Seattle and Portland are definitely very far to go on short notice. Yeah, totally agree on that. All right, let's move on and talk all about Pachuca, a team that we have to beat, essentially. I mean, there's not really any other way to sugarcoat it. We have to beat this team, and this team beat America already in the team that we lost 2-0 to. So you can see here in the results of the CCC. Of course, we had that game where we lost 2-0 to Club America, played a lot of rotation players, and suffered for it and lost 2-0. We got a 5-0 against Chorrillo. Pachuca got a 6-0 against Chorrillo. We got a 3-0 against Alianza. They got a 5-0 against Alianza. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a tough one. They are a team that I think, like a lot of people say, they are the best Liga MX Femenil club themselves. They are currently well, there's like literally 3 Liga MX Femenil clubs anyway. Not really, but 3 big ones. So you can see here in their league, they're on a good run of form. In their league, they've won 4 out of their last 5 games. Recently beating Club Leon, San Luis, Monterrey, et cetera, et cetera. I would say that like I think there's like 2 or 3 big Liga MX Femenil clubs, and then there's just a lot that are not near the level. So I think that them, America Tigres, are like the big 3, tend to dominate a lot of the time. So I believe for them, it's more easy for them to focus on playing their best players in the CCC and not have to kind of divide like we are. I think that we also should not take Pachuca lightly in any way, shape, or form. I think I don't want to say we underestimated Club America. I think I don't know whether it was a calculated risk to say we can play our, rotation options against Club America, and then we can lose that game and be in this scenario right now, and then just have to win this game. That is arguably the way they could have seen it. But now we are in that scenario, and we have to win this game against Pachuca. As you can see on the table here, when I show our Concacaf W Champions Cup group, that's a mouthful, the women's CCC group, Club America have qualified, CF America or Club America have qualified with a draw and 3 wins. They played all 4 of their games. Alianza and Chorrillo they also have played 3 games, and Chorrillo lost all 3. Alianza managed a draw against Club America. We can finish with 9 points, but so can Pachuca because they managed to lose to America. Actually, I got that wrong. But of course, they beat Alianza and they beat Chorrillo. So now it just comes down to us versus them in this very big game on Wednesday to see who goes through, because only the top 2 will be going through to the next round of the CCC, which stupidly is played in like May of 2026. That's a whole other discussion about how dumb the Women's Champions Cup is. But we got to win this game. They have a goal difference of +10. We have a goal difference of +6. If we draw this game, it's not going to be enough. They're going to beat us on goal difference. We have to win this game. We cannot draw this game. We cannot lose this game. We have to win that game. So there we go. It's very strange. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. Shinta says, we went to the CF America game to lose. I don't want to think that way, but I do think the lineup was, I'm going to say, risky and naive, or either way. Shinta says, Hines better put up a real lineup, or that other match was a disgrace. Wolf Edwards said they beat America 3-2 in the league at the end of August, but lost them 1-0 in the CCC. Yeah. That may have been the result you saw. Correct. Yes, I was looking at their league results. In the GCC, they lost only 1-0 to America, but yeah, I mean, we gotta expect them to be able to perform at the same level of America. I think arguably they're a better team. Like, they've got more results in overall in time over the women's MX Liga Femenil. So, we cannot take this lightly. We have to play our starters. We have to go out there and win the game. Do we want to do a lineup? Let me put a lineup together with you guys. That'll be fun. Because yeah, I think I got a lot of opinions about who's what is our best lineup at the moment. So last game, of course, it was Watt, Pickett, Ovalle as our front three. You guys give me your thoughts on what you would do here. I think Marta probably should start this game. Maybe they'll save her on the bench, but I don't know. It seems like a game that Marta would thrive in. I think maybe you could see something like this. I would love to see Simone Charlie get the start. I'd like to see Marta, Valle, and Charlie up front as a front three. I think it's going to be McCutcheon, Angelina, and Limos again. It's almost like every game it's those three. Backline, Abeo, Carey and Oyane and wing backs, I think, is probably our best option. Emily Sams, Haffa, Anna Morehouse. The only issue I have with Haffa, I think she's just quite slow. So it wasn't a problem last game because Emily played really well and covered, and other players cover, and that's just the way it is. But the Mexican teams, they are fast, they are speedy. There's a lot of fast players, so that's something we got to watch out for if Haffa's gonna start again. Yeah, I think for me, I would like to see Simone Charlie. I would like to see Marta. I think if you're going to start one of them, like if you're going to start Marta in one of these games, it's this one. Same with Simone Charlie. I think they can do more against, this kind of opposition than they can necessarily against the Washington team on the weekend. So we'll have to see. Let's read a few more comments. I've also had words saying Pachuca also have a fairly important game at the weekend, but their situation is less dire than ours. Yeah, for sure. They, they have an important game, but like I said, I think they're able to rotate more. I don't see the rest of like who are they playing on the weekend unless it's one of the big clubs, and they can't rotate for that. I don't think they're gonna, be too fussed. Let's see. Oh, they're playing Chivas, so yeah, it's a big team, but I still think they're gonna play their top side against us. They have to win this game too, or at least get a draw. Elizabeth said must be aggressive. Simone Charlie up top. Marta must play. We need leadership. And Shinta saying put out the same lineup. Potentially, yeah. I think if we do that, that same lineup, I want to see, Ali Watt was looking good, but she just got to stay on side. Carson Pickett didn't bring too much to this game. I would arguably say maybe you could drop her. I think she's better kind of coming off the bench late in the game. Was this wing role, not necessarily being a starter there. we'll see. I think Ovalle is playing for sure. I think McCutcheon is playing for sure. I think Sam's, Ayane, Obello, half are probably playing for sure. We could see Zara Shavashi come in. She's been playing Champions Cup. I could see that. There might still be some rotation of players that they feel isn't a drop off, right? There's rotation into players that they feel is a step down and like a squad player or not necessarily a top starting level player in the squad. And then there's other players you can bring in that really aren't, like if you change out Ollie Watt for Simone Charlie, if you put another left winger in instead of, Carson Pickett, if you put in Zavashi instead of Rafaeli, I don't think you're taking a massive step down and you're able to rest some players. So maybe some of the, older legs, some of the more senior members of the team that perhaps can't play 90 minutes for 2 games in the week, they will prioritize them for this game or maybe for the Washington game. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I think for me, I would start Marta. I think that's the biggest change I would make is, if anything, let's drop Pickett. Let's bring Marta in to start against this Mexican team, see what she can do, and then let her be a sub against Washington. Shinta saying Zara just got another call up, Angelina too. Yes, we'll go through the call ups next week, as after this week, all of them will go on international duty before they come back for the final home game of the season. Let's do our Pride predicted lineup. Predicted score. I missed them. I was away here and I got to go back and fill in some score results. I predicted a 2-2 draw against the Thorns, and Luis predicted a 2-1 win. So neither of us was right, but at least Luis was more positive than I was. All right, we have a CCC game against Pachuca. Let me know in the chat what you think we are going to get in results. I'm going to go with... I'm going to say it's a 2-0. I think we get the result we need. I think it's a professional game. I think we get the job done with a full lineup before we then take that and roll it into the Spirit on the weekend. Elizabeth here saying start faster, score early. We'd love to see that. 1-0 if we use the starters. So I hope so. I'm going to go 2-0 versus Pachuca. So I think that's it's pretty positive. I feel like compared to where we were, it's pretty good. Nick Shields saying 3-1 Summer Yates brace. I could see Summer Yates getting some minutes. She might get to start in this game. I don't know if I love the idea of starting Summer. Hasn't been really playing a lot recently, but it is a lineup shift that we could see that wouldn't be a massive step down. I think though, like we said, we need to see goals, so we need to see a good performance. Shinda says depends on the lineup. If we put up a real 1-2-1 win, yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable. Avol where it says I hope we get more than 500 people in the stadium. No, says Elizabeth. I really do hope we get a good attendance for this game. I know sometimes it can get lost. I think these extra games that aren't always on people's like calendars, they aren't sick to their phones. They're not always aware. Like all of us are very engaged in Orlando Pride. We know we're in the Champions Cup. Not everybody will know that this game is happening. Not every single season ticket member will be aware. They just didn't check their email, they didn't check the socials. They didn't get the message. So the midweek games are harder. The ones that aren't always so obvious on the calendar as well are harder, like the extra cup games that get put in midweek. So let's hope for a good attendance. I really enjoyed last time we played in this competition at home against Alianza. It kind of had that feel to it, but the attendance, was not great for sure. Alrighty. Last few things I want to go through with all of you before we go. Like I said, on Thursday, we will have another Pride Pod. I'll be back to review everything that happened against Pachuca, and then we will preview Washington and get into all of that. If you have not done so already, please go ahead and fill in our subscriber survey. So we've done a survey for subscribers and regular listeners and watchers. So if you've not done so, please go ahead and fill that out. If you go onto our social media, like for example, here on Twitter, I know not everybody's on Twitter, but Luis should have posted it or pinned it in lots of places. I put it in the NWSL group that's on Facebook, so please, you can find it there. We have done a subscriber survey. We want to get your opinions on everything that we do here, Loud and Proud Orlando. So it just asks you a lot about, the show, how you engage with the show, how you listen, whether you like this, whether you like that, et cetera, because we want to get you guys feedback, understand what you like and don't like, and then we can use that information to hopefully make the show better and arrange more things and grow and just be better for you guys. That's why we're here. So we appreciate all of you. As always, please go ahead and respond to that. If you're not an X person, it's on Instagram, we're on Threads, we're on Blue Sky, we're on Facebook. You can find us at any of those places. So if you are a regular listener or watcher, we'd love to get your opinions on all of this. That would be amazing. All right. Last things for me today. I just want to say thank you to everybody who is here in the chat. I'm going to read a few more comments. So if you got anything you want to say, drop it now before we head out of here for the night. But it was great to see a win. A very, very positive to get that win at the end of the season against, a Portland Thorns team that was very tough, and we saw it out and we were gritty. It was a lot like Orlando Pride of last year. Let's hope we can keep that rolling. Sporty Mouse saying, I have a ticket, but may get too tired to get up during the day to make it like tied up during the day. Yeah, I agree. It's midweek is hard. I get it. Everyone's got a lot of stuff going on. It's never easy to make it out, but I will say that it's very cool that we're in the Champions Cup, and it's something that you've got to really appreciate. And if you're a soccer guy, then I think you're into it. Elizabeth says, Kylie update, please. Kylie Nadanner is out for back, quote unquote, per the Pride availability report. Most recently against Portland, Kylie Nadanner, she was out for excused absence and has been for a while. It was Marta that was out for back, and now Elise Bennett is a questionable lower leg, and Barbara is SEI for hip. As we know, Kylie, I don't know what's going on with Kylie. Honestly, anything I would tell you would be purely speculation from my point. I will say that she got married and might be at that point in her life where maybe she's going to settle down. I don't know. We'll see. But excused absence for this long, I don't know, what that is, but it could be maybe that her and her husband are going to have a child and they just haven't announced this yet. But that's just me having speculation and guessing. I don't know. All we know at the moment is excused absence. So there you go. Elizabeth says, thanks, John. I appreciate all y'all so much for being here with me. Hopefully Kylie, and we'll be back soon because it would be great to have her in the mix. But at the moment, like I said, she is excused absence. Alrighty, I think that's everything we have time for in today's show. Thank you to everybody who was here in the comments. I appreciate you all, Shinta and Sporty Mouse and Nick Shields and Elizabeth and of all sad words, all you guys you always hear in the comments. We appreciate you so much. I will see you all on Wednesday as we get a big game against Pachuca in the CCC, and then we'll be back on Thursday to talk more Pride. All right, everybody.